Well, it's 9 p.m. IST and we are coming to you with some breaking news. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that he is now ready to talk with U.S. President Donald Trump on the Ukraine-Russia war and is now waiting for a signal from Washington, D.C. Well, is a war-ending deal on the cards? And now this is the big question that we're asking you right now. It comes a day after U.S. President Donald Trump said that he is working to end the war. And after Zelensky said that he could speak with Russian President Vladimir Putin, all sides now appear to hash out a peace deal. It all sounds highly promising at this point of time, except that it raises several practical questions. Who puts their guns down first? What concessions will be made to end the 3 years of fighting? Let's do a deep dive now. First, let's get you up to date with what's happened. On Friday, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that he was ready for talks with his U.S. counterpart, fueling expectations of contact between the two world leaders. He said, and I'm quoting here, "As for the issue of negotiations, we have always said, and I want to emphasize this once again, that we are ready for these negotiations on Ukrainian issues." This after U.S. President Donald Trump said that he wants to meet Putin as soon as possible in a bid to secure an end to the war with Ukraine. Remember, Trump has been pushing for a deal to end the Ukraine war. He has also expressed his desire to work towards cutting nuclear arms, something that the Kremlin said Putin had made clear he wanted to. Earlier, media reports suggested that Trump's team was eyeing a peace plan for Ukraine, which could include a ceasefire along the current front lines and the creation of an 800-mile demilitarized zone patrolled by European troops. Additionally, the roadmap would reportedly see Ukraine's agreement to delay its aspirations to join NATO for at least 20 years. That's what Russia said. Russia, however, has ruled out a freezing of the conflict. In fact, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that the Kremlin is, of course, not satisfied with proposals to postpone Ukraine's NATO ambitions and deploy a Western peacekeeping contingent in Ukraine. Russia has insisted that hostilities will only end when Ukraine commits to permanent neutrality and also a denazification of Ukraine. It has also said that Ukraine must recognize the territorial realities on the battlefield, on the ground, which means accepting the status quo on the front, which will essentially mean Ukraine ceding territory. Question is, will Ukraine agree to these terms? You see, Zelensky's recent readiness to hold talks is a stark departure from his stand in the fall of 2022, right after Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson and Zaporizhia were annexed by Russia. Zelensky had signed a decree banning himself from any negotiations with Putin, and that decree still remains in force. Yet, in an interview with news outlet Bloomberg, Zelensky appeared to have changed his stance on the issue. The Ukrainian president now appears ready to secure a commitment from Trump to support and secure Ukraine before engaging with Putin. So then the question emerges, will Zelensky walk back on his terms to engage in talks? And even as these practicalities face all three leaders, there's another reality on the ground. Intense fighting continues between both the sides. On Friday, Russia launched a barrage of drones in an overnight attack on Ukraine. This attack killed 3 civilians and damaged residential and commercial buildings. As the war approaches the 3-year mark, Russia has stepped up its air attacks on Ukraine as well, sending dozens of drones almost every night to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russia's Ryazan region saw an air attack early on Friday. The local authorities reported attacks on oil storage and a power station. A day before, Russia said on Thursday that its forces had taken control of one more settlement in Donetsk region. On the same day, Ukraine reported striking Russian targets, including command post Fighting has just become intense and Ukraine's front lines is on the brink of a collapse. And Russian forces continue making rapid and major advances on the battlefield deeper into Ukraine. Russian advances over the past month expose Russia's approach, and that is of encirclement, of resource depletion and of steady territorial gains. And it looks like it is working right now. Even as Trump tries to get the two sides on the table, the focus on the battlefield remains on consolidating gains, securing supply lines and preparing for the next phase of operations. Trump has described the Ukraine war as an absolute killing field and has declared that it was time to end it. Well, questions remain. Can he end it? Well, we are now being joined live by Susan Tehrani from New York for more on the story. Hi, Susan. First up, how is the Trump administration seeing the statement from Moscow where Putin has said that he is ready to talk with his American counterpart?
So Putin's remarks are in response to President Trump's remarks at Davos yesterday, where he talked about the human toll and the human cost of the war, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And while President Trump did mention that there is an economic element to this war, and that's the high price of oil, and that if OPEC brings down the price of oil, then this conflict will end sooner than later, Vladimir Putin dismissed that, saying that the issue with Ukraine is a security concern and not an economic one. So we're waiting to see if Donald Trump is going to respond directly to Vladimir Putin's comments. Putin made some interesting comments, even going as far as agreeing with President Trump that, quote, if the 2020 election was not stolen, then perhaps Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022 would not happen. He called President Trump smart, yet pragmatic. These are all sentiments that President Trump has shared regarding Vladimir Putin as well. Policymakers and analysts now believe that a peace deal is closer than ever, notably with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, as you mentioned, also expressing a desire to reach some kind of deals.
Right, Susan, thanks for joining us on GRAVITAS with the latest.